Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Black Logic. So this evening, we're going to dive into a series of events that are shaking the international stage. And so let's start with some of the recent developments involving the Ukrainian President Zelensky. Now, following, we all seen, I broke it down for you guys, a very fiery Oval Office meeting with Donald Trump and President JD Vance, as well as President Trump. The House Speaker, Mike Johnson, made a startling statement. He suggested that for the war in Ukraine to end, Zelensky either needs to come to his senses or step down. Johnson emphasized that it's up to the Ukrainians to determine their leadership, but hinted that a change might be necessary for peace. Because here's the thing. Either Zelensky is going to be respectful to the United States of America. And I know people say it's going back and forth. This was the debauchery. The president's got into an argument in front of everyone. Donald Trump said, I allowed it to go on so people can see what's really going on, how a lot of these other countries are treating America. And I've talked to some people who actually took Zelensky's side. Like, no, I'm telling you right now, if I was a president of a country that needed a much larger and more powerful country for their help so my citizens would not be destroyed and killed, I would possibly go with knees and hands. It's not about me. It's not about my ego and pride. And I know President Putin has violated a ceasefire agreement before. But again, did that happen under Trump? Again, you can at least have 4 years to rebuild, at least to reinforce your Navy, your Army, your Marines, whatever forces they have in Ukraine. You'll at least have time while President Trump is in office for the next 3.5 years to rebuild some of your country, to fortify some of your defenses. And by that time, you may have other defense systems that's given to you by the EU as well as America. You should be playing nice. And if he can't do it, then guess what? Not only should he step down, because if he doesn't step down, they need to throw him down, because this is about the betterment of the country. And everybody's worrying about his dignity and pride and respect and all of that. No, this is about innocent people are getting killed. Well, Russia started the war. Okay, they're in war now. Well, I mean, we already know the facts. We can go back and forth and blame Donald Trump, blame JD Vance, blame Elon Musk. But at the end of the day, are we for humanity to the point where he can actually sign a deal, that they can actually sign a ceasefire? I don't get it. I think a lot of people are selfish and they have very, very large egos.
Senator Lindsey Graham on Friday floated the idea that President Zelensky may need to resign in order for there to be a peace agreement. Do you agree with that statement?
Well, something has to change. Either he needs to come to his senses and come back to the table in gratitude, or someone else needs to lead the country to do that. I mean, it's up to the Ukrainians to figure that out. But I can tell you that we are re-exerting peace through strength. President Trump has brought back strength to the White House. We knew that this moment would come. We worked hard for it to come. And now it's here. But we need these parties to go along with this. And we need President Zelensky to do what is necessary. This war has drug on far too long. He's lost hundreds of thousands of people, including women and children. We've got to bring an end to it. And I think our European allies are hoping that that is the case, and we are as well.
Okay.
That's very important. Again, I know a lot of people are looking at, the exchange between the presidents and how that essentially went down. But we understand how this meeting here in the Oval Office recently became the stage for a much heated exchange between both of these two presidents. And as we look and analyze the discussion here, we can check President Vance, we can check President Trump, and we can definitely check President Zelensky. But who needs who? Have you ever called a friend? You ever called a buddy? Say, hey, I need a jump. My car won't start. I believe it's the battery. But you gave him a call and you puffed out your chest. Hey, you need to get your ass right here, right now, because I need a jump. Anyone ever did that? Or are you humble? Are you grateful that they even accept your call? Hey, man, thank you for answering. I'm such in a bind right now. I'm stuck probably about 15 miles from your home. I went in to grab something. I'll come back out. My car don't start. I believe a light was on or something. Can you come help me out? I'm not understanding this, because President Zelenskyy made this a fiasco, a political fiasco, because here's an economic deal about minerals, but he said we can't do this deal unless I have security guarantees. Have any of your EU allies given you security guarantees? Have they given you that? And in the same breath, doing a minerals deal? Does that make any sense? And some people will say, yeah, because if America needs those rare earth minerals, he's leveraging what he needs for his country to survive in order to cut this minerals deal. Now, did he ever think that if we sign a deal with Ukraine and it jeopardized the minerals deal, that America will help Ukraine surely just so we can extract our minerals because it's under your sovereignty? I mean, a lot of things could have went the right way. And I'm saying, listen, if I had to make a scale of who was the worst actor in this whole meeting, it was definitely President Zelenskyy. But I'm not saying the other two played nice either. But again, he's coming to us for our support. So these are some of the things that we need to look at. I don't think people are essentially looking at it as a standpoint of him needing help, him needing our help. And speaking about the Middle East, no, let's finish up with Zelenskyy, because Senator Bernie Sanders, he came forward to defend President Zelenskyy. Sanders condemned the calls for Zelensky's resignation as horrific, emphasizing the Ukrainian leader's role in defending his nation against Russian aggression. The defense highlights the deepening divide within U.S. politics. What in the heck is Bernie Sanders talking about? What in the heck is Bernie Sanders talking about? This president needs the United States of America. I'm not understanding a lot of our Democratic Party. It seems as though they're just digging people deeper holes, and I'm just not understanding it. Nonetheless, in the Middle East, Israel has halted all humanitarian supplies to Gaza. So Israel has totally cut off Gaza from receiving any humanitarian aid at all. And Israel did this to pressure Hamas into accepting changes in the ceasefire deal. So wait a minute. We agreed to a deal. Now, Israel wants to change that ceasefire deal. What's the purpose of a deal? That means at the time that we made a deal that all parties agreed upon said deliverables on each side. But now Israel has blocked all humanitarian aid so they can restructure the ceasefire deal. Wow. And a lot of the changes, believe it or not, reports have it that they're backed by U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, and that he seeks to extend the current ceasefire and to facilitate the release of hostages and delay the withdrawal of Israeli troops from Gaza. And then Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's decision has been met with severe criticism from Hamas. But of course, and they're stating that this is a war crime and a violation of the ceasefire, because it is. Because it is. And the humanitarian situation in Gaza is reaching a critical point because Israel's decision to halt aid supplies has led to skyrocketing prices for basic necessities. And a lot of the aid agencies like Oxfam, they have condemned this move as collective punishment against Gaza's civilian population. And by the way, which heavily relies on humanitarian aid. and the International Court of Justice and the International Criminal Court have both demanded that Israel allow aid deliveries, accusing the nation of using starvation as a method of warfare. As a method of warfare. Wow. I know you guys are familiar with Elon Musk and the Department of Government Efficiency, known as DOGE. But the U.S. federal workers have been hit with a second wave of emails demanding detailed job information. And this move has raised concerns among employees about potential job security and privacy issues. The administration has yet to clarify the purpose behind these extensive data requests, leaving many workers anxious about the future. They're trying to figure out what this is all going to come to. Well, it's going to come to what it has been coming to. Unfortunately, people, thousands of Americans losing their jobs. We can argue that one political party made the government too big, and then we can blame this political party from trying to make it too small, too fast. And that may be ripples in government systems because the people who were manning those systems are not in place. Or did we just have way too many people in the first place that we already have more than enough? And by the way, speaking about Elon Musk, SpaceX, Jeff Bezos, Blue Origin, it just reminded me, because I popped the story up here late for you guys, that an independent commercial space company, which was not on my radar, by the name of Firefly, is the first commercial private space company to land on the moon. Are you guys familiar with that? I don't know if that hit you guys' radar just yet, but let me show you guys this very quickly.
Yet another leap for mankind. This is Blue Ghost, Firefly Aerospace's robotic spacecraft, touching down on the moon, becoming only the second ever privately built vessel to stick the landing.
They'll stick the landing. We're on the moon. Ignition.
The daring descent comes after a roughly 6-week and 240,000-mile journey. Along the way, Blue Ghost beaming back these stunning images of the crater-laden far side of the moon. Now safely on the moon's near-side surface and equipped with NASA science gear, the next phase of its mission begins. 2 weeks probing the interior of the moon to depths up to 700 miles, snapping X-ray images to study how space weather interacts with Earth's magnetic field, analyzing samples of lunar soil and dust, and more.
Signs of life, we have a return signal we're tracking.
The momentous mission comes a year after Intuitive Machines became the first private company to land a spacecraft on the moon.
Houston, Odysseus has found his new home.
And as NASA has partnered with more than a dozen U.S. companies to deliver equipment to the moon, all part of its Artemis program aimed at one day returning humans to the lunar surface. A quest years behind schedule, with its first crewed flight test originally slated for 2024, now expected in 2026 at the earliest. Today's landing, a monumental step in the modern-day space race.
You know, guys, I'm hoping that, beautiful black sister, but anyway, I'm hoping that we find something on the moon. I absolutely do. Not on the moon, but in the moon. I don't know if you guys ever heard of the perspective that the moon is hollow and is actually an alien space station. I don't know if you guys heard of that. I'm somewhat of a space geek, and it made me think about this. I believe that the name of this is called Blue Ghost or Ghost Blue or something. Whatever the aircraft that landed. But nonetheless, they're drilling the moon. Why do you think they're drilling the moon? I mean, there's multiple reasons why I think they're drilling the moon. But one of the reasons, and it may not be the most popular reason, is to see if the moon is hollow or if there's anything inside the moon. Now, again, I would like to believe there's life on other planets, maybe not in our Milky Way, maybe not even in our universe, maybe millions of light years away. But I think just because I've done a little bit of research on the moon, I just think it's a big rock, a big floating rock that reflects and has some reflective properties. I don't know. But here's another thing. They may be looking for, because here's another perspective. They may be looking for rare minerals. Because again, to make a lot of these aircrafts, a lot of these space rockets, they're using these very expensive earth materials that they have to form at certain degrees, angles, heights, with all of that. What if there is a material in the moon that they can build spacecrafts from when they separate stage 1 from stage 2, that all of that spacecraft is reusable? We see how SpaceX, when they separate from phase 1 or stage 1 to stage 2, they can recapture the booster rocket. But there's part of the spacecraft that people don't know that they can no longer use. It's totally destroyed. It comes back to Earth fragmented. There's no more pieces. So again, we're still looking for rare minerals so we can advance our technology, so we can further out in space more. I wonder who's trying to develop the first warp drive that won't totally annihilate the human body because of the speed and the shakings and I don't want to get too involved in that, family, but nonetheless, moderator Jermaine, hit me back on email, brother, so I can get your answer from that. But nonetheless, I thank you all for joining me here this evening. You guys have a great and wonderful night. This is Black Logic.